Oh, my goodness. I don't know about you, Raptor. I'm starting to feel like I need to stretch a bit. I saw you off stream there on camera just doing kind of a little bit here and there. We go to game 5. I don't know about you. I'm all excited. Let's get into this. Oh my goodness. KSC, Kremlin, Ohio, Worcester, Des Moines, Minotaur, Gearing, Shimakaze, and the other Gearing. I am surprised that they're not bringing Kerr first.
I'm not. I'm not. But I will say that I feel like BONKS has been taking, they were listening to a sconce in between, right? He talked about them flooding the map with 12-kilometer radar. Have a look across the BONKS lineup here as they spawn into the southern end of the map, Zath. Montana and Burgonia potentially taking a page out of the KSC playbook there as Drix rounding things out with a Goliath, double Moskva, and a Stalingrad. So 3 12-kilometer radars, a Vampire Deuce, and double Ragnar.
Yeah, it's kind of like more of the bad stuff, right? More 12-kilometer radar, more Ragnar. Wow. I'm interested though in Bonks's early positioning. They aren't. It looks almost like they're just kind of fanning out evenly amongst the battlefield here. They're gonna go ahead and put that Stalin up the 910 line with the Vampire Deuce and Burgonia. And you can kind of see the same thing happening with KSC. They're sending 2 ships, Worcester and Des Moines, with Serpent Lord's Gearing for the Death Snail. Daster playing safety right now, just sitting above the decap, being ready.
Right. And you can see like KSC has even adapted their strategy a little bit, right? What we saw them play on this map earlier was double Worcester with the Serpent Lord's Gearing over here on the 910 line. This time they've gone for Worcester Des Moines. Last time they did double Des Moines north of C with the gearing. This time it's Floops. This time opting for RX7's Des Moines and Hatake's Minotaur. Still going with Aussie Zeus's Shimakaze headed out to A. Still backed up by Dana Love's Ohio. So that lineup is the same. So KSC sticking to their playbook, right? It worked earlier.
Yes.
We know this comp. We've obviously practiced it. It works. Let's hold our thing. And now it's up to BONKS to see if maybe they can pull this off.
Well, and that's the thing, though, right? I mean, of course, it worked against AP in one battle. That does not necessarily mean that Bonks is going to play the exact same game, or that it's going to work the same. And we see this in clan battles all the time when we go to a map and you hear the caller go same thing, and everybody says same thing, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's the same thing? And is this the same team we just fought?
Well, you're already kind of seeing it here, right? Tester's Stalingrad all the way on the 10 line. Drix's Burgonia just to his port, tucked into the island. Addy's Moskva, Vampire Deuce, they're helmed by Boom Diata. So like they've already BONKS is kind of, they've got a lot of firepower on this flank. No Death Snail wants to push into this. You've got 2 12-kilometer radars. I'm confident they don't know that yet, but times change. All right. We've got a preemptive radar going up at B. I believe I'm not sure if that's the Minotaur or that's the Des Moines. That is the Minnow. They've got the Ragnar spotted. That's Vivi, but Flukes knows that cap is clear. So he's going to duck in there, do a little spotting for his team, and also pick up that cap.
Now we're looking at this right now through Team Red's view, Bonks' view, and all they can see right now is Danny Love's. All they know is that there's smoke, so there's obviously a destroyer, and there's at least 1 cruiser in that smoke that caught Vivi. But they have no other intel right now as Nagata goes into decap, hoping he can make it. Let's bring everybody else back up.
The Death Snail begins over on the 10 line as Serpent Lord begins to lay smoke for the Des Moines and the Worcester. That's Coop and Shadow Wolfish.
That's right.
Vampire Deuce's smoke concealing the Moskva down here on the bottom end. Although now Addy is just edging out of the smoke. Addy's still not lit, though. Lumdiata racing ahead there.
Very interesting to see. We have almost kind of like our little chibi snail here.
Indeed.
With that Moskva, who was detected for a little bit. So obviously they know he's there. And then noticing the crawling smoke, that should give them enough information to know that's the Vampire Deuce that's escorting Addy right now.
They do know he's there. Addy's radar is up. He's got Serpent Lord's gearing lit and Coop's Des Moines. He does take a torpedo. right there in the starboard side as he's trying to make the turn. It looks like they're trying to turn and get him into the decap.
Yeah, we
5
got a
minutes.
little
Go.
bit of crazy action happening on the border here on that white line as both of these cruisers are lit and still lit, yet they're not being shot at. Huh?
Yeah, I got nothing. They are dark now. 5 minutes gone. KSC out to about a 40-ish point lead on the backs of their early cap advantage. They were able to pick up C and A a little quicker as F-22 takes a torpedo here in the B cap. Floops landing some 16-kilometer torpedoes.
That's right. Doofy now coming up to the, what are these, Shimakaze torpedoes? He's okay. We've seen Aussie Zeus do some crazy things in Shimakaze. The question is he going to be able to bait Bonks into chasing him? We'll have to see, because right now Raptor and Dyer have turned northward with their ships.
He was absolutely able to bait AP into chasing him. Of course, that bait also kind of happened after he had no other choice, right? They were all the way up in the corner.
Speaking all the way up in the corner, that Doom Snail has been pushed back quite a bit.
Well,
kind of ineffective right now.
And KSC has chosen Addy's Moskva for extinction here. Hatake dropping shells on him. Dastard taking shots. Man with an RX-7 taking HE shots in the middle of the board as his radar goes up to pick up Vivi's Ragnar on the bottom of the cap and force him out.
That's right.
Montana salvo coming in on Dastard from long range. Only gets about 3 or 4K out of it as he takes a pot shot at Vivi with his stern turret. Dastard going to ground himself here, not going to go around the corner into the teeth of Boom Diata's torpedoes. No?
Smart play.
He is. Actually, he's continuing to leech forward. He is finally going to run up on this island. But these two single-fire torpedoes that Boom Diata lashed out with are going to land. Well, are they?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Wow. I thought he grounded himself with too much of the hull in view. He's going to take him, and he didn't. All luck, no skill, Zath.
That's right, as Addy continues to come
all
under.
Skill, no luck.
As Hatake is opening up on Addy, he's detected, he doesn't care.
Nope. They are farming Addy like there is no other care in the world.
I just saw a radar blip coming up from the Worcester or the Des Moines, one of the two. They want to make sure Addy stays detected. It's Des Moines.
Dastard. What just happened? He did take
Vampire.
Torpedoes. The Vampire was able to sneak a couple of single-fire torpedoes right on that island edge, right into Dastard's bow, and he floods out.
That could be a catastrophic loss for KSC. We'll have to see.
Certainly
Tester's
is a bad
take
one.
2 torpedoes here, maybe 3. 2 torpedoes that'll force a DCP, and he'll be in trouble as soon as he gets set on fire again from that Doomsnail.
KSC losing one of their battleships early, and Addy's Moskva remains in the game, very resilient despite all of the shells that have fallen on him. He's still here. BONKS out to about 80-ish point lead on the strength of that early battleship kill. Both teams ticking up a cap. 9 minutes in. Sorry, two caps each, but ticking up at the same rate, let's say.
There you go. Tester now on fire. He's on 2 fires, because remember, cruisers can no longer take fire prevention. And Stalingrad is a super cruiser, so it burns for longer than, say, a Moskva would.
They're gonna end up killing Tester here in just a few seconds. Too many shells, too much fire, and those decisive torpedoes, and he goes out.
There it is.
So the Doomsnail does claim a victim. That puts KSC back in the lead by about 20 points.
Now they do have the ability to start coming in and threatening Addy from the rear, as well as Boom Diata. Of course, Drix's Bergoni is the only thing that really stands to prevent them from doing so.
Well, Drix actually is going to move up a bit. He's changing his position here. Moving forward, he's going to dive right into this gap with his guns looking through that gap to prevent exactly that push.
Right. Now, FlowOps' gearing is now smoking up with an RX-7, at least trying to. Um, but unfortunately, they're so far back. I think it would have been better off to wait until both ships could turn back southward before they use that. Look at the line that's forming now
Mm-hmm.
by BONKS.
Yep.
Aside from that one flank, and that one flank could prove to be their Achilles heel.
Mm. Well, and Bonk's able to flex that double Ragnar and pick up the B cap. So now they have a decisive cap advantage here, 3-1, as we cross the halfway mark of the game. It's a question of what can KSC kind of do to break back in here, right? I still feel like Addy's Moskva, he's got to have been through at least 3 heals already. So like that's a ship that has definitely got to be under some threat, got to be running low on HP.
Well,
And
here comes the Death Snail.
yep, and here comes the HE farm from astern of him as he was throwing AP shells up north at the Minotaur. Now his guns are going to be having to turn around to look the other way if he's going to fight back against the Worcester and Des Moines from his stern here.
I love how they don't even care about letting Serpent Lord get in a place to possibly smoke. They're just going full speed in. There's the radar to detect Serpent Lord.
They're going to get this kill right now, and there it is.
Yes. But that's going to allow Serpent Lord to smoke them into C now. Or D, I'm sorry.
KSC up a ship on a small lead that they'll lose here in a few seconds because they're down on caps now. They're down on caps for the moment as the Death Snail starts to creep into D. They will be able to secure D, and they are going to absolutely hammer Drix's Burgonia all the way in.
Mm-hmm. What's going on the rest of the map? Looks like Dyer's putting his Moskva in typically where you'd put the Moskva spot. Okay. F-22 not interested in pursuing too much farther. They know Aussie Tsushima Kaze's over there. Looks like Doofy took a torpedo earlier in his Goliath.
I feel like, Zath, this is going to come down. Bonks is kind of getting herded a little bit into the middle of the board, right? Between Aussie's position, between the Doom Snail at D. I kind of feel like over time that's going to allow KSC to really pick a target and focus it. We're starting to see that here with Drix's Burgonia. He was pristine a minute ago and now already down around half HP and continuing to fall.
Yes, but we have also seen before, and I think it's happening right now, we've seen that Death Snail kind of break a couple of times. So I think a lot of this comes down to, can the Death Snail stick around? Can they stay together and work together well as a team? If they start to break up, that ruins a lot of their power.
7 minutes to play here in Game 5 of this match. 8 points separate these two teams.
Wow.
As they are both ticking up 2 caps at the same time. So that's the gap between them right now. They're both looking for a kill or trying to force their way into a cap they don't own.
40,000 hit point difference in health. As look at the shells coming in on these the Worcester. Shadow. Oh, dodging some of these too. And Drix is now.
Drix is incredibly low. They're going to get this Burgonia kill, Zath. He's going out in seconds right there.
There he
goes.
Now,
go.
That Death Snail has broken up.
It has, Zath, but it served its purpose. These guys now have all kinds of island cover to play behind, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to shove a Ragnar in there to go spot him? Have fun with that, you know?
Good point. Vivi now detected. He's on fire. Man with that RX-7 is the focus fire for Bonks.
Yeah, probably in a bit of trouble here. 10K and falling as he tries to find some hard cover. He's got a little bit here in the form of this bluff on the island in front of him.
Take taking another hit, but he's got his Minotaur.
He's got to stay tucked in there. He's got conga line torpedoes from the Vampire coming in front of him, and we've seen what those torpedoes are capable of, but he's clear. KSC on a round 100-point lead. 5 minutes to play. What?
Man with RX-7 is burning, but look at Dyer. Dyer's going to take one torpedo. Oh, narrowly dodges. Narrowly dodges, taking a second.
Just the one.
RX-7 now healing. He'll be okay for now.
Yep.
This It's starting to turn up KSC at this point. What do you think, Raptor?
I mean, again, I come back to if you're KSC, right? Like they kind of herded these guys into the middle, and BONKS sort of allowed it to happen by leaving the Death Snail alive and not dealing with it on the 10 line. Now, in fairness, KSC played a really good game over there. Once they got the Stalingrad off the board, they were able to easily push in. But by moving the Burgonia out to mid, he basically just got focused out. That really has opened things up for KSC.
So, Raptor, you like to ask me this question. What is BONKS' way back in at this point?
Right now, they're in my mind, they've already found it. They're trying to pick off these lighter units that KSC has left behind in the decap. Shadow Wolfish is down to about 10,000 HP under the concentrated fire of 2 Ragnars and a Vampire. That is a ton of shells coming in. He's going to go out here in just a few seconds. He is healing, but he's on at least 2 fires, trying to get up some hard cover, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Nope, there he goes.
So just like that, BONKS back on an 8-point lead.
Dire under more fire. Torpedoes coming.
I was going to say KSC trying to respond by picking off Dire, and the torpedo coming in on him is going to seal the deal.
There it is.
Just so that, again, kind of, you traded 1 kill for another.
Yep. Look at Aussie Zeus' Shimikaze now.
Coop and Serpent Lord firmly ensconced in the decap. Coop's Hydro is up. They know Boom Diata is coming. Boom Diata is lit. They do not yet know that Nagato's Ragnar is back there. They know now as Coop radars. Yeah. I'll never get it right. Just accept it.
And here he comes. Here comes his charge. They know that he's coming. They're waiting. They're going to shoot it. Okay. So Nagato came out so he gets shot at first. That gives Boom Diata a chance to get in.
Boom Diata is going to get 2 shot there. 1 salvo from the Des Moines. Yeah. The Des Moines secondaries actually take him out. And just like that, Sath, the game is almost over. We're seconds away from a KSC reverse sweep.
Wow.
Look at that.
And a rematch of yesterday morning, right?
Yes, indeed. We are indeed. BONKS, unfortunately, not able to close it out. They are our 3rd place team here on North America. As KSC comes from an 0-2 deficit with the reverse sweep, they are going back to the grand finals to play 0-7 for a chance at 1st place. Wow. So we talked about it before the game started, Zath, right? Like, did BONKS do their homework? Do they have a plan for how they're going to deal with what we've seen KSC do on Hotspot? You would have thought the answer was yes, but based on the result I'm seeing, the answer apparently not so much.
Mm-hmm. And can you just imagine, had KSC brought a Kerr first? If Dastard had a Kerr first and he had that Hydra going, right? Like,
oh man, that actually, you know what? The Kerr first there would have been honestly a good pick, because what finally got him was Boom Diata's those single fire torpedoes. He popped 2 out where he expected Dastard to be, and then he stuck behind the island and he waited. And when those didn't hit, he reversed back and he fired 2 more, and those did hit.
That's right.
So, Ensconced, now that your oxygen tank is fully and truly emptied, how are we doing?
I will be honest, I'm a little flabbergasted. I'm a little stunned. It wasn't the crazy face clawing match that the game before was, but losing Dastard early, that one hurt.
Felt bad.
That was
real bad.
Oh no, this is not so okay. But the Worcester, I think, maybe, I don't know, whatever. So I was told that from somebody that went over there. Those 2 came in and they just started pressuring, and okay, well, they're not really moving out of Bravo. There looks to be a path. Holy crap! KSC is now fighting for 1st, 2nd, whatever in KSC in King of the Sea. I'm just. Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, one thing to note here is incredible, a reverse sweep. KSC down 2-0 or 0-2, depending on how you'd like to react to it. Comes back 3 in a row to reverse sweep BONKS. And it's not as if BONKS let this happen easily. Like, let's pay attention to the fact that when Dastard's Kremlin wedged itself in there to be the pinchy threat against Addis Moskva while the Doom Snail rained its fiery sticky death down upon it. BONKS countered the Kremlin and said, fine, if you're going to put this Kremlin in our face, we're going to kill it. Boom Diata especially dropping those 2 torps the Dastard just barely misses, which caused him, I guess, to get a little too overconfident, stick that nose back out into 3. So they straight up trapped that Kremlin to an early lead, but the Doom Snail and the Des Moines Minotaur combo central just too strong, as
So
we did
effective.
not see a hard push up the 1-2 or even 3-4 lines from BONKS because there just wasn't enough material there to do it, because all that material was first sent to the 9-10 line and then rotated back.
Yeah, the Goliath that was over there kept dancing with Shimikaze torps. I think Aussie Zeus's Shimikaze was just holding down that one line. Like the Goliath kept wanting to push up, kept wanting to, oh God, it's got to turn again. Oh, got to turn again. And I don't know how many torps he ate, but he slowly got whittled down. I mean, a Goliath got whittled down from full down to like 15, 16K. So I don't know what combination of torpedoes or maybe long range battleship shells that was, but either way, it was completely stalled. And with no radar over there, there was no way to dig them out. There wasn't anything to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a straight up question of, if there's a Shimikaze against a cruiser that doesn't have a radar, as long as that destroyer doesn't make a mistake, there is nothing that cruiser can do, or battleship for that matter. The destroyer will continue to spam it with torpedoes, whittle it down, push it back, and that's just what happened. The problem too was that KSC had a plan coming into this match. We talked about it at the beginning. We said KSC chose Hotspot. KSC has a strat for Hotspot. It worked. We're going to see if it works again. And it did. So, Lord have mercy, it did. Like, BONKS even looked like they had committed enough resources to the 9-10 line that I thought, oh man, those 2 cruisers are going to have to turn back. There's a Moskva, there's a Stalingrad. There's just so much there.
Yeah, moving up the Vampire 2 charging forward to bring the Moskva into the cap. Gonna be honest, didn't really see that coming. I fully expected Moskva, Stalingrad, gonna be buddies. You know, we got the bow in bros. They're just gonna be forcing it up. Yeah, they couldn't get across. They couldn't get across Dastard until Dastard wasn't there anymore, and then suddenly they could. They could have just moved the Worcesters back over and over and over and over again, but instead they split up. And you know, when you're just gonna get picked off piecemeal, that's just no way to hold a flank, man.
Right.
The reality of it is that KSC had the initiative for almost the entire match. There was a moment when the Kremlin went down where it went, oh, does this derail the entire plan? It did not. Yoshi's Minotaur, the boldest of the bold, just open water farming a Moskva, even though there were 2 battleships that could get guns on him. It's just astounding. It's not as if he did necessarily the most damage, but he sort of was this ticking clock. I mean, that said, you have to do something or I will continue to farm you down. And that's exactly what happened. It was just really astounding. I don't know that we have the replay ready yet. If we do, one more minute. Okay, so we're waiting on that for just a second. So, C-Raptor, I'm putting you in the driver's seat. What would you have done differently once you saw the Doom Snail at B in the middle? Sorry, not B, C in the middle. And then the Doom Snail at D. What do you do when you've already got most of your resources committed to the 9-10 line?
The one at C, the one in the middle of the board eventually got to the point where it served its purpose in keeping them off the cap initially. But they also were able to break it up and push it back and get the Ragnars in and pick up the C cap in the middle, right? So to me, the one that you had to deal with was the one on the 9-10 line, because that one literally, as you start to collapse into the center of the map, that's the one that not only are you surrendering a cap to, now there's a million islands in there. They're going to have great cover. They're going to have positional options when you try to go in there and root them out. You got to keep those guys out. You must keep them out of there at all costs. Okay. Stalingrad is dead. They melt him. They burn him down. What do you have left? You have Addis Moskva, and you have the Burgonia, and you had one of the destroyers, the Vampire Deuce. Boom Diata's Vampire Deuce is still around. Okay. In my mind, what you've got to do is you have to find a way to hold those guys on the 9-10 line, force them to look for another way into that cap, force them out. Anything you can do. At one point, Drix and the Burgonia had moved up with his guns looking through that gap back to the 9-10 line. Like, he wasn't going to see those guys. They were in smoke, but his guns were looking that way. So that if maybe a Moskva radar gives him a shot, maybe they dump out of smoke at the wrong time and you get a shot. Who knows? Maybe your destroyer catches sight of them. However you get there, you've got to keep them over there. Instead, what happens is they push Addy up into the cap. He gets farmed out from astern. The vampire runs into the middle, and Drix basically is left with no choice. Like, I gotta go. He goes into the middle, turns south, and they, between the entire team, just melting him. Now you've given up 2 ships. You've given up the Moskva and the Burgonia. You no longer own the decap, and rooting those guys out is going to be a very, very tough challenge. It's not easy. No one ever said it was going to be easy to do, right? But I feel like if you've got to hold that Doomsnail on the 10 line as long as you possibly can.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So, gentlemen, we have the replay ready. So I'm going to ask us to do this. We plan on taking a short break between KSC versus 07 for the Grand Finals North America, mainly so that KSC can have a short breather. They've been at this a while, 3 hours straight. Yep. At the highest level of concentration and effort that I think you can really put into this game. So we're gonna talk for a little while longer about the match. We're gonna talk about what's going on in the chat and the Twitch containers and what have you. So gentlemen, thank you very much for your commentary. Go have a potty break. Go get something to eat. We'll catch up back with you later.
See you in a few.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Oskans. Let's talk about this replay.
Well, it definitely wasn't as hair-raising as Game 2. But first off, we're going to notice the Doomsnails, of course, double gearing going out. They did actually mix it up a little. Instead of the double Des Moines in the middle, double Worcester over on the side, they put a Minotaur in the second, a Manitor, if you will, and a Des Moines over on the side as well, I believe, which was kind of interesting. So B is seeded, sure. But unlike before in the previous game, Delta was claimed by a destroyer right away. And if you notice, Dastard stayed all the way up on that B line for like the first 5 minutes of the game. He did not want to be spotted. I don't know what the plan was there, but it was very important that he stayed dark. Bravo just kind of being held. They got a Des Moines, they got a gearing. Nobody's really able to push that. So interestingly, though, the Minotaur peels all the way over to C7 to start throwing shells, get a little potential damage into Delta, which is going to work when, after this Stalingrad goes down on the 10 line, we're going to see the Doomsnail over on 10 start to wrap. Now they've got those coming in from one angle. They've got the Minotaur shells from another angle. They're going to trap a Moskva. As was said, the Vampire's going to bail. If you notice over on the one line, that Shimikaze Goliath, they've been dancing literally for minutes. All the Goliath can do is just try to juke, just dodge, as it were. And it didn't even work. I mean, he still took damage, but he just can't. You can't charge a Shimikaze for 30 kilometers and pray not to get owned. So we see with the Minotaur helping out and the pushover from the side, Delta falls. They've got points because they've got kills, and you see those destroyers in the south. BONKS moving over, looking to start finding something. They claw down a Wooster. They get a few points back. It's 2 caps to 2. It's actually really close, but there's going to be a Moskva that falls. That's going to be another DD that goes down. That's going to seal the deal, and that's going to put KSC all the way back into the winner's bracket for the last game where they're going to go against 07.
And you saw in that replay, as Oskans was describing it, you saw the way that KSC just wrapped around, they enveloped. That is so often, when there is no CV, by the way, because this is something that is really for KOTS, but also you should note for the next season of Clan Battles, which has no CVs. That's what success looks like, is when you start enveloping your opponent so that the Shimikaze on the side means you cannot go there, which means you can only go this way. And then the Doomsnail comes in from this side, means you can only go this way. That puts them in a tighter and tighter box where everyone can start training their guns and nobody's getting good shots out of that tighter box. And the Shimikaze is just constantly raining torpedoes. Like, That's how it works. That's how you outposition your opponents. And unfortunately for BONKS, they committed maybe 1 too few destroyer to the west side, which let that Shimikaze wrap them up and prevented them from making a push up the 3-4 line to counter KSC's really heavy, aggressive Doomsnail push. So,
one thing that's definitely worth pointing out. So they brought all this radar, right? Because they know they were going against the Doomsnail, and yet they didn't ram the radar into the Doomsnail. They didn't ram the Stalin into it. They didn't ram the Moskva into it. They didn't try to break the smoke line.
Right.
And secondly, we saw the Goliath dancing with the Shimikaze. We also saw the Vampire bailing out of Delta going to C. You have to have a front line. You have to have something that's going to hold, something that's going to interact with the front line of your enemy. And when your front line is a cruiser, your front line is at risk because you just don't know what's coming or where it is. You might have RPF or something, a commander skill that gives you an idea of where the torps might be coming in from. But when they pulled their Vampire off the edge, when they didn't even send a DD to the other end of the map, you completely cripple your forward movement. And we saw that result for minutes.
Absolutely. I think it's worth noting here as well that we asked you all to do predictions earlier. We asked you to do predictions as to who would fall into what place. So just so you know, 36% of you said that KSC would beat BONKS in this matchup, where 21% said that BONKS would prevail over KSC. The 36% of you were correct. Now, I am not going to say yet how, or maybe is the way, hold on, I'm not actually watching the chat at the moment. Are the results of the poll public? No. Okay. Well, then I'm not revealing it. Ha! I'm keeping it to myself until afterwards. The rest of you were asked to weigh in on who would win between 07 and KSC. So we'll get to that later. But first, let's go over a few things real quick, and then we're going to take a short break for ourselves so we can go get some water. We can grab something to eat real quick. And so that Oskans can refill his oxygen tank after the after the insanity that we've witnessed today. So don't forget to make sure that your Twitch is linked up with your Wargaming account. Also, make sure that Amazon Prime, if you have it, is linked on. That will get you those KOTS mission rewards and KOTS containers. Again, once you finish the KOTS collection, that does not necessarily get you the mission for the North Carolina camo. You have to finish the collection and get one more container, which you can get from the armory for community tokens. So
yes, and one thing about that, for those that are a little newer to the game, when you're getting those collections, sometimes you get duplicates. You get the same picture multiple times. You're like, oh man, I already have that one. It's going to show up as like a little key, a skeleton key, if you will, that's going to allow you to unlock the other pictures. So the nice thing about the KOTS containers is that it's a 1-to-1. So a duplicate unlocks another picture, whatever. So as long as I think it's 16 pictures, if you've accumulated 16 pictures over the course of whatever, you just got to click the things to unlock those pictures so you can finish your collection. With the 2 KOTS containers you get from the mission, you get from watching the stream, and an additional 2 containers, I believe, next week, one on Saturday and one on Sunday.
2 weeks.
Also, 2 weeks, I'm sorry. And also the 3 that you can buy with community tokens, if you have them, if you're active on Twitch, there's a really good chance that you can finish that collection out and get a taste of that beautiful camo,
which will be dropping with the release of patch 0.10.10. So if you do complete that mission, if you do complete the collection, you get another box. It won't show up just yet. Don't panic. The mission will become available to you with the release of patch 0.10.10. In the meantime, there was one more thing to mention before we take that. Right. So some people were asking about how to make sure that you get the missions for the KOTS containers themselves. You do need to go into your Twitch inventory. So you can click on drops or inventory depending on where you are at, and there will be a little button that says claim. So to make sure you claim the containers or the missions for Twitch in general. So let's definitely do that. Are we able to showcase the North Carolina camo, or is that? Okay, maybe we can do that when we come back then.
Give me a moment. I'm here.
Okay, Zeth's gonna pull up the North Carolina camo. We're gonna switch to his camera so that we can take a look at that. It's very cool, in my opinion. Bane of the Seas. Zeth, are you there? Are you able to talk?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, this is it's interesting. I actually haven't seen it in this kind of lighting before. Every time I look at this ship, guys, I am discovering more and more things. I mean, I love it. We always talk about the art department carrying the game, and I think this is a great example of the art department doing just that. you've got these tentacles that are reaching out and just reaching for the King of the Sea crown at the front, which is awesome. I always love artwork that conveys motion, that conveys some sort of emotion that's happening, and you can feel that here. It's tangible as you're looking at these tentacles reaching out for the crown. And then you move over to the side, and you've got that beautiful skull and crossbone that almost goes perfectly with the King of the Sea 13 logo, which just looks awesome. And then to the rear here, you've got those tentacles once again reaching out to the butt, and this time holding a sign that says "King of the Sea,"
That's
and that's
absolutely
really
right.
cool.
Yep.
Now-
So this camo was made specifically for KOTS 13. It is something that, in theory, all of you should be able to get if you have been watching KOTS for at least one other season. So please make sure you get those drops, make sure you claim those containers, and make sure you get that mission for 0.10.10. In the meantime, we are going to take a quick break. We should be back within 10 minutes or so. What was that? Oh, okay. Sorry. Please come back. Stick with us. We're going to go to a quick break so we can all go grab some water, grab some food, use the bathroom. We'll see you back within 10 minutes.